Welcome to the Fifth Trooper Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Fifth Trooper Podcast. My name is Jay Shalansky and my co-host is Evan Bulris.
Hey, how's it going?
Today we are interviewing Greg from Dust USA. How's it going?
Hi, I'm pretty good. What about you?
yeah, we're doing all right. So Greg, I asked you before we start recording kind of what your title and what you do for Dust, but I figured I'd have you tell them because it was a lot. So
Yes, I am the owner and manager of Dust USA, which is the distribution company for Dust 1947 in North America. I am also the marketing manager for Dust Limited, which is the company that makes the game in China.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see? And that's why I had you do it. So, thank you for coming on. I guess let's start with if maybe we can just do a little explanation of what Dust is and just for people who may not know.
Of course. Dust is it's a miniature war game. It's called actually a diesel punk weird World War II game.
Okay.
So it's a game where you're going to build your army like any regular miniature game, and then you're going to face your opponent on scenarios, and you have to accomplish the scenario to win the battle. It plays with miniatures that are 1/48 in scale, so it's a little bit bigger than the leader of the industry, but it's something that is very close actually to Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars being a 1/46. If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
The miniatures are made in plastic. We are making them ourselves. And the game plays mainly on a grid, but plays also on a freeform tabletop, what we call freeform, which means the regular tabletop with a 3D terrain and everything. So you decide how you want to play the game.
Yeah, it's really interesting for those of you who haven't seen it. So if you're watching the video version of the podcast, I actually have the U.S. Marine Corps starter set on my desk here, and it comes with a neoprene mat that actually has the square grids on it, which is yes. Awesome. And then each one comes with one. So if you like, Evan and I both got a starter set, so he has the mat too, and then we can put them together. Evan just put his on. I saw that. I was like looking here. I saw that out of the corner of my eye. So you can actually put both mats down and combine. So it's really, really neat.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me is the grid system makes gameplay really quick, and how not to get to too much of the rule set, but like terrain's really easy. Comes with terrain because it's 2D, right? For all intents and purposes, how terrain goes, like. I've seen it at so many shows I go to, like PAX and Gen Con and Adepticon, and I never approached originally because it was one of the things that my town's just either was Warhammer or since we're there, Star Wars Legion, right? That was it really. Yeah. So I didn't want to buy into a war game and then have to like try to like sell it, right?
Convert the heathens.
Yeah, right. Like be like, no, I swear it's good. You gotta believe me. But now I'm like, you actually have some really great YouTube content. Like your learn to play videos, like real smooth, easy, like fun. Like a lot of them can be real dry. To kind of matched our original, like our Legion one we had done a while ago, just like easy, fun. Yeah. But I was really impressed by that. Your unit things. Actually, where I'm going with this, the one question I have for you is, your app is fantastic.
Thank you.
That's actually my thing is so. I don't know if you can speak to that a little bit, but it like after using the 40K one and then the X-Wing one and not being like super disappointed, and then your free one, just like the slickness of it and everything just really blew me away.
Well, so for the YouTube content, I have to thank John Caspian, who made the videos. This guy is incredibly talented. He has the eye of an artist, but he also understands the economical and time frame and everything. So it's really, really easy to work with him. And he does these amazing videos. So we're really, really happy with that. It's actually a video. All these videos were made for one big video that we did for Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con online this year, because we were supposed to be at San Diego Comic-Con, but Sadly, it got canceled for
Right. Yeah.
for too many people coughing on each other.
Yeah.
Fair.
And so we did this video really where we wanted to present Dust as a universe, as a game, as a product to new people that were not familiarized with it. And really, he really did some great videos. So I'm really happy with that. So thank you for that. I will tell him it would be super happy. For the app, I have to thank another guy that is Anton Salikov, a French guy, a friend of the family, who needed actually an internship because he's in a video game school. He was in a video game school, now he's working in the industry, and he needed an internship for the summer of 1 month. And so we gave him an internship, and he had as a mission to make this app in 1 month, and he did.
Wow.
By himself.
Dang. Okay.
Oh
Yeah,
my
man.
gosh. Yeah.
The guy is a genius, like a genuine genius, and he really understood how the game functions, what we were looking for. I really gave him I cannot say it was detailed, but I gave him the broad spectrum of what we wanted for this app, what we couldn't find in other apps. He downloaded all the apps from the competition and said, it's missing that, it's too heavy, it's missing that, it's too heavy. So he was like, I don't want that. And he built everything. So yeah, we're really happy with that. It's updated every month with new profiles when they appear, or with new platoons, new rules, this kind of thing. So it's really a good reference for players. So
yeah, it seems, talking about the videos and the app, and then, the grid system that we were talking about, it seems like, you guys make an effort to make the gameplay and the entry into the game really easy. Now, is that something that you guys are always consciously thinking about as you do things? So
when Paolo Parente and Olivier Zamfierescu created the game, Paolo Parente created the universe Dust. It was originally a comic book that was published by Image Comics. When they created the game, they wanted a game that they could play at the end of a very hard day of work on the kitchen table.
Yeah.
So it needed to be contained, and it needed to be fast and easy, so that they could basically wreck each other's face without being completely exhausted at the end of the game.
Yeah,
because they still had some stuff to do with their family. Yeah. So that's really the principle that really leads everything design-wise in our game. So the grid is here for that reason, to make it easy, so that there's no measurement, there's no dispute about line of sight, there's no, do I see the top of the head, not the top of the head, is the weapon part of the body, do I use a fictitious cylinder? I mean, they really didn't want that, so the grid was the best solution for that. The miniatures are ready to play, which means that they are already put together in the box for the same reason, because they really wanted people to be able to open the box and play, even though it's not painted, it's in a colored plastic that is different for each faction, so you don't mix it on the table, basically. So really, everything is like that. And then, when we started Dust USA with my wife, Alicia, she's not a gamer. She's a nerd, a mega nerd. She's a specialist of Star Trek, but she's absolutely not a gamer. And she played the game, she liked it, and she was like, that's good because it's very easy to get into. And then our kids started playing also. So I have 3 daughters. And when they started playing, the youngest was 6, the oldest was 10. So it was really, really weird to see them play because, again, not gamers. They were video gamers, but not miniature gamers. And they really enjoyed the game. And we realized that actually the game could be marketed to another customer base. And so instead of marketing it to the regular miniature gamer, that has been already solicited by absolutely everyone since the beginning of time, we decided to market towards families. Meaning that sometimes it was kids first or female players first. And it happens that it works, obviously. And also we are making the game, the way it plays actually allows you also to play in multiplayer games. It's not just a 1v1. And you can play 1v1, for example. And it still works.
Yeah, that is crazy.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's the game is really meant to be simple, accessible, and for everyone. So even though the theme is very specific.
Yeah, and kind of to that point, you touched on it a little bit, but just for our listeners to understand, I know that I don't know how it works exactly, but I know that you guys provide. There's basically 3 levels of miniatures, right? That a person can acquire, which is on the sprues. They can get them put together and primed, or they can get them painted.
Fully painted, premium. That's what I have, for example, here.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then for example, if you're looking at my video, I have the ones that are already assembled and primed. You know, and I think that really speaks to exactly what you were talking about, where I felt like, Evan and I were looking into the game, and I was like, wow, so because one of my concerns when we first got these was like, oh, they're already together and primed. I don't know if people are gonna, true hobbyists are going to love that, right? They're going to want to put it together themselves, and then I saw that the sprues were available, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So kind of talk to that process, like that's really interesting to me. So that means that you guys have to put these miniatures together at some point, right, to get them out the door?
Yes, yeah. So in the factory in China, so obviously with COVID, things have changed a little bit. The staff is skeletal right now because they have to social distance and stuff like that. So, but basically in China, we have people that are just there to glue the miniatures together. And some others that are here to paint. And up until the very end of last year, we had 12 women that were hand painting the miniatures.
Oh, wow. So, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's very fascinating to see. We actually posted some videos on our Facebook, on the Dust USA Facebook page, showing the process on how to make miniatures. So from really the 3D concept to the molding, and the molding of hard and soft plastic, which is very different. And you really see how it happens. And it was fascinating. We went to Hong Kong and Shenzhen 2 years ago for that. And that's mesmerizing to see these people that are lined up and able to have this level of painting with just an airbrush and a paintbrush. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and I've seen videos like that, and you just start to get depressed at your own abilities. You're like, oh man, I am not good at this.
No, definitely, it's very humbling.
Yeah. So kind of let's walk through the process of it's time to design a new unit for whether it's an upgrade. Like I saw that big walker for the US, that thing looks amazing. So kind of walk us through the process of, okay, it's time for a new unit, to how the creative works, and then how, all the way down the line.
So this is entirely the work of Paolo and Olivier. So Olivier is in charge of the rules. Paolo is in charge of the design. Okay. So either Paolo comes with a new design, like one day he came with a gigantic gorilla in a power armor with an anti-aircraft cannon in his hand. Yeah. And he was like, I want this miniature to be a profile. And so Olivier creates the profile, tests it with his testers and everything, and then it becomes something. Or it's the opposite. And Olivier says, we need this kind of unit in the game. We're missing a heavy support, or we're missing a troop exterminator, or something like that. So I need something, and Paolo designs it. So they really work close to each other, even though Paolo lives in Manila in the Philippines and Olivier lives in France. So it's very
okay. Yeah.
But I mean, well, today, I mean, look, we're doing this interview, right? And we've talked to people all over the world doing interviews. So this is the way the world works now, and it's great.
Oh, and Dust has always worked like that, because they have always lived apart from each other. And then the offices of Dust Limited are in Hong Kong. The factory is in Shenzhen, which is an hour and a half away by train, but still it's not the closest. And then when you're in Shenzhen, it's the city is so big that you can drive for 3 hours from east to west and from north to south.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
It makes Los Angeles look tiny. Yeah. So it's ridiculous. So they really work like that. They have like huge sessions where they basically, sometimes Paolo travels to France, or Olivier will travel to Manila for 15 days, and they work on everything that is going to be released for the next 3 years. Or sometimes they just have an idea that pops and they go, okay, let's release it. So it's really free form, but yeah, it's very, very fun.
I really like, because I don't know that it works that way with a lot of game companies where the designer, the artist, can say, oh, I drew this and I want this to be a character now in the game. So please make that happen.
There are a lot of companies that are like that. Paolo has an advantage compared to other situations, is that he's also very, very proficient in molding. He really knows the process. He has been working, he has been part of Dust Limited, the company that makes the manufacturing for almost 20 years now.
Wow.
And he really, really, really knows what engineering means, how mold functions, what is the advantage of one plastic compared to another, these kind of things. It shows on some of our miniatures because, for example, we have an SSU vehicle. I could go get it if you have 2 minutes, but it's an SSU vehicle called the PT-47. So it's a transport vehicle. It looks like a little boat. And because it's an amphibious vehicle that genuinely existed during the war, at the end of the war, when we made that vehicle, for example, instead of making a mold for hard plastic that normally closes up and down, you have the bottom and you have the top and they close on each other and you pour the plastic. This one was actually a flower. So it was closing this way.
Oh, wow.
So it's I mean, that means that we were able to mold the whole vehicle in one block, basically, while remaining very hollow and light. So it was insane engineering-wise. But yeah, it's a company that has been making plastic miniatures for basically everyone in this industry.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, if you have Zombicide, the miniatures, except for the first box, have been made by us. FFG Armada has been made by us. The first generation X-Wing also.
That's amazing.
So yeah, there was a lot of products like that. The Simon products are made mainly by us. Mm-hmm. So they really know their business.
Oh, sure. Jeez.
And it's so, I think like as an end user, if for people who don't have a concept of what goes into this, I mean, it really is interesting the amount of knowledge and like you said, you had brought up engineering because we had talked to one of the sculpt managers from FFG, and they were talking about how you use ZBrush for designing humans and humanoid type stuff, but then you need like a CAD system to design like more mechanical stuff, and it's a completely different process and a different brain set, right? And so it's just I always like to point out the abilities of these artists / designers that do these miniatures, because these people could be just working in like engineering firms, like designing like computer parts and stuff too. Like it's that same kind of skill set.
When they reach a good level, yes, some of them are genuinely at a level where they are highly qualified technicians, or sometimes low level engineers. It's really amazing.
And then when you add the sprues in it, that's a whole nother level of design and thought that needs to go in because of how the mold works and everything. Like that's amazing as well. It just blows me away.
Like really, when we shot the videos, actually, the engineer of the company, they were working on the super giant Armada ship.
Mm-hmm. The SSD,
They're fantastically big, and the engineer had the weirdest joy because he was like, normally, so on this kind of molds, you use copper templates that are going to hit the metal of the mold, and an electric current is going to go through the acid in which the mold is, so that basically particle per particle, the mold is going to be sculpted this way. Okay. So it takes a while. It's super noisy. It's pretty dangerous because really you're in a vat of acid with electricity going through. So and it's like wide open. The guy is just in front of them in his flip flops and he's waiting. So I know it's insane.
Hey, okay, yeah.
So the guy was like, normally for a vehicle like the one that you have in front of you, for example, this kind of copper template that needs like 30 to 50 of them. And that's a lot already because there's a lot of details and stuff, but it's manageable. For this big ship, the guy was like, we are already at 400.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Oh man.
I mean, it's technologically speaking, it's insane, but also logistically speaking, because you have all these templates that need to be carried away, that need to be referenced and everything. So making a miniature is just making a mold is super complicated.
Yeah.
So it was very exciting. So
I'm really glad you brought that up. That is something that just I think gets lost in the in the industry in general, is because it's this like nice to have product at the end. It's a game. Like I'm just looking, oh, it's just a die. It's just a guy. It's, and then without any of that other knowledge, you don't realize everything that goes into this. Like
it's making a miniature from the time you design the miniature and the time you can genuinely release the miniature is several months. And it's several months of people working 24/7. So it's a big deal. Making a mold takes time. You need to refine it. You need to make sure that it fits. Again, depending on the type of plastic, not the same mold.
Right.
PVC will be better for miniatures of infantry, for example. So it's going to be a little softer, so it allows for more details. But hard plastic will be better for vehicles because they need to basically be sturdier and straighter. You have the problem of the construction of the plastic. So you can have a batch of miniatures that are going to be released and from the same mold, and they're going to be 1 or 2 millimeters shorter or wider.
Right.
So basically you have to pitch them and redo. So, I mean, it's really, 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 really complicated.
Yes.
Jeez. Yeah,
and that's just the miniatures.
Well, you don't really think about it, right? Because you think like, where's my Super Star Destroyer? Oh, it's delayed again. Like, where's my Super Star Destroyer? And then when you put the guy's standing in front of like death, just with flip flops on, hoping this thing goes through, right? It kind of puts that in perspective of like, it's not, because from the layman, like for me, I just think there's like a giant mold of a Super Star Destroyer, and you just pipe in plastic, and then you wait, and then you get a Super Star Destroyer. Right? That's like
once the mold is made, that's the idea. Even though the mold for something like that, first it's several molds.
Yeah.
They are 3x3 by 2 in size, and one mold weighs probably half a ton. So.
Oh my gosh! Jeez.
So you have to have a crane actually to take the mold and put it in the machine. It doesn't go by itself. So.
Sorry. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And,
okay.
and of course, because it doesn't fold, you have to store it in a warehouse. So you have entire warehouses of ranges of products.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's interesting too, because we talk about in different games when there's delays, like on reprints, right? For example, and I think a lot of people don't realize is that, where it's being manufactured, that they already have probably the next couple generations or someone else's work on the line already. And so they have to take that mold out, replace it with the old mold that they had back, like you just said, stored in the warehouse, and then choose the plastic or what, there's all these, like a list of things that they have to do just to make that possible to reprint. And it's just wild.
The gaming industry last year released 5,000 new SKUs. So 5,000 new references of products, may it be paper, cardboard, plastic, whatever. Okay. It was 5,000 new SKUs just in your local hobby shop, the famous LGS. So it takes quite a bit of time to just produce that for everyone in quantities that they desire. So
yeah, and that's just for us to have a good time on the weekend.
Yes, but it's very important though.
Yes.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
It's just, you know what I mean? Like, this is just a game. That's just to make games, and it just blows my mind every time I think about it and talk about it, because it's not like it's a car or a television. It's just it's a game, right? And it's still just as complex as everything else.
It's extremely
amazing.
complex, extremely time consuming. So, and people really pour their heart in it, which was really also something that I was very impressed with when I visited China. You're always thinking, you always have this very semi-racist vision of China, where you have organized sweatshops and no one cares and stuff. And you see these guys that work like really, really, they work hard and they are really passionate about it. And that was pretty impressive, really. They were really genuinely proud to show us how they were working.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of, we went back to it, like going back a few paces. The streamlined is, there's two things I really enjoy with this is your buy paths for your armies. So for example, you've got the starter and then the army box and then whatever that, and then if you could touch on that, and then I got a follow up on like how gameplay works. But so what inspired the buy path? Yeah.
Product wise, we wanted people to be able to get into the game and increase their army easily. A few years ago, another brand, Privateer Press, created a way of increasing your army that was called the Journeyman League. That was very clever, where you were starting with a starter set, and then you were buying units progressively on 4 or 5 weeks to increase your army to the regular 50 points that was the tournament, whatever format at that time. And that was really good because it really guided people towards their purchase. And I really like this idea. I really loved it, to be honest. So, but at the same time, once you buy your starter set, you're still lost into a range of product that is very massive. Our range is smaller, but it's still massive.
Yeah.
So you look at the wall at your favorite local store again, and you're like, what's next? And so we wanted really to take people by the hand and basically guide them, like they would buy a board game and then buy the next extension. You buy a Soul and then you buy a Soul whatever, because that it's the next extension.
Yeah.
And I really wanted the game to be like that also for us. So we created the starter sets. Starter sets already existed, but then we had the army boxes, which are 4 units for the price of 3, basically. But it's also the best sellers and really the next best thing that you want after the starter set. And then the HQ box, where you have 3 to 5 heroes plus a command squad, because again, it's gonna, just by switching heroes, it's gonna create so many gameplay options that it's worth it. The box is worth it by itself and really changes all your gameplay options super fast. So that made sense. And then you can really refine and fine-tune your army with unit boxes.
No, that's super cool because when I look into it, I bought, and speaking of War Machine, I bought in really incorrectly. I bought in to Retribution at the time, and I just bought what looked cool. I didn't know, right? And so I'm just like, I guess the guys with bows look cool. I bought this army, and after I played it a few times, in that game you could be really punished for bringing the wrong thing. Yeah. And I just kept thinking, I'm having a miserable time. And I just spent all this time because they were pewter, so you had to it wasn't just like plastic where you can glue, right? It was kind of a thing to get it all built and ready to go. And I remember painting them and just being like, why am I even doing this? I'm not having fun. It's just. And then I got into some other war games, and Legion was pretty nice just because you got a couple core sets, and because the game was so new, stepping in, you didn't have anything to buy, right? You'd walk into a store and you're just I don't have an ATST, I guess. This is what it was. But that was
your purchase of the month, yeah. Basically.
Yeah, right. I guess this is out now. I'll buy it, I suppose. With this, I was looking with my buddy, and we're already talking. I stumbled upon the that video actually that I learned to play, and that's when it got me I'm like, oh, Dust, yeah, this is great because we were looking at liked Conflict 47, but it was a little much for Jay and I to get. But we like that setting, though, right? the Weird War.
the
So
World War II.
Oh my God, I'd love
and yeah,
that
we fell into
setting.
this, and I was looking at my friend Connor. We're like, oh wow, you know, I want to do that army. I want to do that. So we're looking through, and then I'm like, well, wait, what am I even? How do I even buy into this? And then again, you had to like your website just buy a starter, buy an army box, and then with Jay and I, when I was picking out the sets, I'm like, well, these two have army boxes that are just more the same, like more they fit the look, and that's really easy, and that actually was like really smart, and I'm really surprised more people don't do it because from knowing nothing about the game to being told like, hey, if you buy this, this is going to be good. You're not going to feel like you've bought incorrectly,
Yeah.
and then be at the table and just get like smashed and be like, wow, that was $300. You know, like that's just right out the window.
No, we really want you to spend your money for a long time with us. So we try not to have a gacha spirit, you know, and try to sell you stuff that is not good. So it's really not the principle of the game. So
No, sure.
Yeah, it's it's interesting to like the pre-primed. I think we touched on this just a little bit more. How Evan's starter set was primed a different color than my starter set, and so now like I had like kind of just that like light bulb moment when we unpacked them. I was like, oh, like you could just go and play. You don't even have to. It doesn't even matter because it's the color. So now you know
it's
who's
exactly that.
Yeah, like, and it just hit me, and so was like how much. I mean, I think you guys thought about it. So what was the kind of? Is it that same mentality of I just want to come home after work and put it on the table? I don't want to think about stuff. Is that like? Do you guys always go back to that when there's
Always.
new coming?
Always. It's the basic of all our philosophy for the game. Everything. It goes from, I mean, even when we did the videos, John Caspian and actually his wife and partner in crime were actually telling us, okay, so we went to your website and she's not a gamer again, and she went, I don't understand. So you have to redo everything.
Yeah.
So the first step that they gave us basically was redo your website, because as a non-gamer, I go to your website and I don't understand. So, and it's really that we really want to bring non-gamers to the table, because there's no reason they would ignore how much fun you can have around the table with other people playing a miniature game. So we really want to get out of the niche. We have a niche because we are a diesel punk weird World War II. Okay, I'm not telling you that we're going to sell to absolutely everyone all the time. But it's really, there is no reason for people that would be attracted to miniature gaming in general to not have this first dip, basically. So, and we really want them to be able to enjoy that.
Yeah, let me because we've kind of talked about how simple it is to get into it. So, I can teach the wife, I can teach the kids pretty simply. So let's go to the opposite end of that. So let's talk about competitive or near competitive. So what does that look like if someone was like, I love this game, I'm going in hard. I want to play. I want to play at whenever we get cons back again, right? I want to go play at that con, and I want to be competitive.
So there are two different answers for that.
Okay.
If you are in Europe right now, you have a tournament scene, very regular tournament scene with a Swiss rounds, a winner at the end, and you play 120 points. It's a very specific format. You're limited in the number of units of the same type that you can bring, and really tournament. Okay, hardcore, I would say. They have very nice events. The last European Championship in Poland had 70 players or 80 players.
Wow!
Oh wow!
So
okay, that's good turnout.
So coming from everywhere in Europe, coming from Sweden, France, Belgium, Italy. I mean, they were really. It's a very successful event every year. So it's really well organized by our distributor in Europe that is called War Factory. So it's really that they play very regular tournaments. In America, we don't do tournaments at all.
Okay.
We have phased out the word tournament from our vocabulary, again for the same reason. I've been in this industry for 15 years. And every time you talk about tournament, you attract alpha players that are very used to the game. It's going to sound cynical, but it's a very autonomous customer base that doesn't need any support.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very weird that this whole industry supports the alpha players all the time, ignoring all the others.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to change that because, again, it can become toxic.
Yep.
Or if it's very well managed, it's still very competitive. And some people are not interested in that. And we didn't want to refuse people.
I mean, I would almost, but to that degree, like not to like correct you, but I would say most people don't want that. It's the minority that want the competitive, and
true.
And they're the vocal minority, right? So that's what happens. Yeah,
it is very true, and it's important to listen to them in terms of, for example, game balance or this kind of thing, because these are the players that are very immersed in your set of rules and are able to find the flaw and tell you this doesn't work.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't need to basically cater to them all the time, because you have also another customer base that is silent, but is actually 89% of your business figure, or sometimes 95% of your business figure, like I've seen on other games. And these guys need to be taken care of. So what we created is called Dust Days. So you come with whatever army you have, whatever the level of points you have. You can have just a starter set, or you can have a 300 points army. It doesn't matter. You come, you play all day, and you're going to play for the glory of your faction. So there's a story. You always have several scenarios. Traditionally, for example, if we have like 10 or 12 tables given by the store, we have 10 or 12 different scenarios. So if you switch table, you switch scenario. And because you switch table, you also switch opponent. And you're going to play, preferably not against your own faction, but if it happens, it happens. Sometimes we have a lot of SSU players. Sometimes we have a lot of Axis players because they were traditionally very popular armies. So it happens, but we try to mix and match, and then you play all day. You play your best game. You bring your A game and your A list, but at the end of the day, there's no winner. One faction will win. Everyone will live with something. A small token of appreciation for spending the day, and that's pretty much all.
That's super cool. I used to I didn't know that because I was thinking when Marvel Crisis Protocol came out, and they don't do tournaments, right? They do like cons. They have like they're still kind of working that out still, but like for their OP kit even was just play, and then you tell the guy who gave you the kit, like your store, whether you like what did you play attack, did you play defense, is your army painted? Here's all the prizes. Right, and like that's super cool because Jay and I we chase swag, right? Like we play a lot of like I played a ton of X-wing. Him and I both play a ton of Legion, and so when there's a new prize kit, we're like, oh, I gotta have those dice, right? Like I gotta win those dice.
I understand. I like that also.
But it's also kind of nice to be able to go in and just like not care and like have a good time, and then and just like not like if you lose, you're like okay, cool, you're not because in Legion you lose round one, you're just out. Like no top prize.
You're
but in this like
fighting for the bottom list,
now it's just like with this, it's like whatever. Like it takes a lot of that pressure and stress off. So you just play and have a good time, and then to even just get like what always killed me too is when like last place guys didn't get anything. That always kind of bugged me in some events where it's like, hey man, they should open play too, and they stayed. There's something to be said for that. So it's cool that like those dust days sound like a lot of fun because it's nice just to have that like pressure taken off you and you just play and like hey man whatever like that's super awesome.
You can even switch your army lists between games, and
that's
even a faction you play for because the results are taken for the faction. You can switch faction also on some events. So for example, you're gonna play SSU and then you realize that really the Steel Guard army that you brought, as fun as it is not what you want to play today, and you know what? You can grab the starter set Luftwaffe that is on the wall and start a Luftwaffe army right away during the event.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's got that same benefit of X-wing does, right? Where it's just like, I want to play this ship now.
Yep.
You don't have to like, from a shelf. You just open it up. When I opened it up with Jay and I were kind of unboxing it and like, checking everything out. I'm like, oh, this is done. Like we can just go. All right, that's cool. Like
yeah, that's really the spirit. We really want you to be able to play. We have people that actually sign up for our events during the afternoon. They come, they say, "What's this game?" We give them a demo, and they go, "Wow, that's a fun game." Because really, we demo with 2 starter sets. In 15 minutes, you're done. So it's really super fast, super fun. They laugh. They play with their family, and they go, "You know what? We're going to buy 2 starter sets." And then they buy. And the first time I remember, this father with his son were buying a starter set. And they were leaving, and I'm like, "You have somewhere to go?" And they go, "No, not really. We're going to open them in the back room." I'm like, "No, you're going to open them right now, and you're going to start playing with us." And they were like, "But we have like 1 game, and that's all. It's a demo game." And my Patriots, the Patriots are organized play guys at that shop, told them, "You're fine, really, come." And they played the rest of the afternoon with us.
oh, that's awesome. That's super cool.
Really, it's because the game again is super easy, super fast, and super easy to learn. You really can play right away, and then people will adjust the size of army. So if you only have a starter set, they will whittle down to the level of points that you have, and you're done. So
Yeah. So let me ask you this: do you, because we're seeing this more and more. You know, Evan mentioned Marvel Crisis Protocol, Dust. There's other games that are doing this. Do you see the industry moving in a more casual, friendly way? So similar to what you're doing and what Marvel Crisis is doing, where you have these events, we get the good feeling of getting the swag, getting the stuff, and less of the negative of of getting crushed.
yeah. I would say yes. I would say there's room for both, and I think that you're really, really, really winning when you do both, and when you have the customer base for both.
Yeah.
Because then you can really do whatever you want, and I think that everyone is trying to do that in this industry. The new format of Warhammer 40K, for example, is typical of trying to make it more casual and less stressful, but they still have Las Vegas Open with 800 players, like not having fun for the whole weekend.
Dude, you're not even joking. Yeah.
It's I'm there every year because I have a booth with Dust USA and in our local shop there, a little shop of magic, and we demo Dust during the weekend. We even have a Dust day at LVO. But I'm seeing the crowd, and I think there's room for both, definitely. But I think there's a culture of tournament in the miniature industry that needs to evolve, and I think that we will be able to do that when we are confident enough that we can get new players in the game without having a first reflex of going, "Really?"
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we've been at LVO, but we're locked in the Legion room because.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like we go
that you have your room, but then you're locked there for the whole weekend. So.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But I mean that's really the thing, though, right? Is when we're not working at cons, and I'm sure it's the same for you. When you're not working when you're just there, or the day you get to just enjoy. Being able to sit down, pick up a game, and play, and not feel like I've wasted my entire day where I couldn't go look at something else or do something else. That's huge, right?
Yeah.
And so, I just wish more games were capable of that, where I could sit down, enjoy, and then move on with my life, and only like half an hour has gone by.
During conventions, we even have something that is actually inherited from golf, the golf. It's actually a format that is called Eclectic, that was created by federations of golf around the world for people that couldn't spend the whole weekend doing 18 holes. And what they were doing is that they do 9 the first day, 9 the second day, for everyone.
Yeah.
If you stay both days, you do 18 holes. But at the end of the day, there's a ranking for people that did only 9, either on the first or the second. It doesn't matter if they were at one day or the other or both. But and if they have done 9 and 9, they can choose the best of the 2 days for the ranking. and they have this different ranking. So it allows people who don't have 2 full days during the weekend to go play, because it's a lot of people nowadays, to still enjoy the game while not feeling excluded or taken out of the ranking because they couldn't make it for 2 days. So.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because it's not even just 2 days. Sometimes like a whole day. Like sometimes Legion may just be 1 day, but you're in at 8:30 in the morning and you don't leave till 10 o'clock at night, and you're like, oh man,
God, no, I couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah, what did I do?
No.
Yeah, so it's encouraging to me. A lot of people we've been talking to lately, this seems to be where things are moving, and I understand that it's going to be hard to break the old guard, right, and that old mindset. But I'm encouraged to see the ability for both, right, and to see that maybe I can just play for a few hours one day and still get a lot of that pleasure, I guess, out of playing those 2 hours that I would have. Yeah. It's really good.
So, it's the future. We'll see if it happens, but I think it's well, it's gonna take a whole generation. I really believe that. I think that we have ingrained in us so many traditions that it's hard to convince people of our age. I mean, in a vast majority, I think that kids are. I have a very high level of confidence into the Gen Z. So I think that they are more casual than us and less stressed about a lot of things. So even though they have their share amount of stress, but not about that. So they might have a solution there. But we're going into high philosophy of the miniature industry, and it's fun.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how many seasons we get set back with all this 2020 nonsense, because I think it's going to set everybody back a couple of years, I would think.
And you should brace yourselves, because 2021 is not going to get better for at least 9 months.
We were all these events that people are planning out in January, like, well,
hey,
we'll put a tentative, right? We'll,
hey, do you guys want to sponsor? Do you want to come stream? I'm like, I don't think that's happening, but okay.
No, it will not happen. I don't see anything happening before at least winter 2021.
Yeah.
Because really, even if we find a vaccine in a super fast time, it's still 18 months. As foreseen by all the reports, and 18 months brings us to August. So
but I think the positive with games like this, though, is you don't need to go to cons, right? You just get them. You sit at your kitchen table, teach your kid, teach your wife, teach your dog if it's smart enough, and off you go.
Exactly. Actually, you can actually play online also, because it's a grid. So you just put some letters and some numbers. Up and down and left and right, and you can play on Zoom. That's what we do actually with some of my friends. We have a part of our community that have organized games like that.
Well, I didn't even think of that.
Actually, that's actually a really good idea.
You grab your phone, you put it on a tripod, and you're done.
That is actually kind of great. Evan, I got a bunch more ideas for us to work on after this.
All right, done.
If one day you want to organize a game, you just contact me, and we can do that.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be really fun. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I think we covered a lot, right? Is there let's just remind people, what's the website that they can go to if they're interested in looking?
The best website you will ever spend time on is dustusa.com.
You heard it here first, folks.
I'm best website objective on that.
I mean, and I know we covered it all, but I just want to reiterate, if you're listening and you're considering looking into this, I highly recommend go download the list building tool. Go look at the videos. Like, they're all amazing, and they'll get you even more excited than you think you already are right now. So go check those out. I mean, that's what got everything on the website. Yeah. That's Evan and I was kind of like, I don't know, and then he showed me the app and the videos, and I was like, whoa. I was like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it.
It's a cool game. Really, I discovered it in actually 2015 was the day I had my first demo at Gen Con from Olivier, and it was on a Sunday afternoon. He was tired, he had no voice left, he was right under the speaker, and he was dead. He was completely dead, and he gives me a demo, and I had a blast. It lasted 10 minutes, and I'm like, okay, that's a cool game. And then again, this guy comes with his kid, says, we would like a demo, and Olivier looks at them and goes, I'm sorry, I'm dead. I'm dead. It's 3:40. They're closing at 4, and my voice is gone. I cannot do it. And I just told him, I think I can. And after one game, I was able to give a demo to these people. They had fun. They bought the box, and now they're playing. They're coming to our events from time to time. It's really fun. So
that's awesome.
So yeah,
it's great hearing those stories of just like casual people having a good time with a miniature game. Like it's so like honestly, it's like real rare. Like it's
at LVO last year, I did a demo to 6 people. So at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. On the same table. On the two mats, I had all the starter sets, and they could choose the one they wanted. So they chose 6 different starter sets, and they played against each other. I put an objective in the center of the table, organized the deployment phase, the deployment boxes, 2 boxes per player, and go.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, they played 45 minutes because obviously it takes a little bit more time.
Well, yeah, 6.
But they had a blast, like genuinely a blast. So.
I love how you said that, and in my mind, I was like, "That's nothing." They had 6 players play for 45 minutes. Like, I was like, "That's like the best day of gaming I've ever had." If I only spent 45 minutes on a game.
Yeah, 45 is one round. Round 1 of Legion. Right? Like that's out of 6.
But to be fair, a starter set is around 20 points.
Yeah.
When you play Dust, during Dust days, the maximum that you will bring is 100 points. So 100 points you will play normally in 45 minutes in 1v1.
Oh,
sometimes
that's still
an hour, but that's all.
That's still real good. Yeah.
It's a very fast game. So 6 starter sets took more time because they were joking around.
Oh, yeah, sure.
We were teaching them the rules at the same time, so it takes a little bit more time and these kind of things. But really, it was really hilarious to see them play. So.
Yeah, it's great, and I highly recommend it. And for those of you, we always a lot of our audience is a little less on the hobby side. Like the most encouraging thing to me was that these came together and primed, and I was like, just a sigh of relief came out of me because it's just like, oh, thank God, I don't have to put these together and prime them. I can just,
no. You already have other games for that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and honestly, the miniature count was really, and listen, I have the USMC starter kit, but the miniature count is 7 here, and so like it was just I can play with 7 miniatures, like that's amazing, and I'm really happy about that. So
you can, your list can be anything from 5 activations to 22 activations.
That's
awesome.
I love that that's the scale. So so depending on my mood, right?
It's exactly that. Yeah,
yes.
play the way you want to play it that day.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. This was a great time.
It was a pleasure.
No, thank you so much.
No problem.
Join us next week for another edition of the Fifth Trooper podcast.